Dad said, "We're spending this Christmas with people who actually belong." I said, "No problem." That night, I disconnected from every business account I was attached to. Less than 2 days later, their calls turned from silent to desperate. I didn't even feel hurt at first. I felt insulted, like someone slapped me mid-sentence. It happened back in October. I still remember the way the words hit me. Dry, casual, completely stripped of any decency. My dad had just dropped it in the family group chat like it was nothing. "We're spending this Christmas with people who actually belong." No explanation. No context. No attempt to soften it. I stared at it, expecting someone to follow up. Maybe my mom saying that's not what he meant. Maybe a typo. Anything. But it just sat there, blinking in silence while the anger started bubbling up in me. People who actually belong? The last 3 Christmases I paid for everything. Food, decorations, even the gas for them to drive over. I made the dinner, I wrapped the gifts they brought for each other with dollar store tape and zero thought. And I smiled through all of it because I wanted my daughter to have some kind of family around the holidays. Some kind of memory that didn't reek of tension and guilt. But now suddenly I didn't belong? This wasn't new, not really. They always had this way of treating me like the extended help. Not the daughter. Not the sister. The help. When Mom's card declined at Walgreens, she called me. When Dad's truck got towed, I paid the fine. When my brother overdrafted his account again after another business venture, guess who covered it? And not once did anyone ask if I could afford it. As they assumed I could. Because I always made it work, even when I was scraping to make rent and secretly moving money out of my daughter's savings to cover their messes. I didn't reply to the message. I didn't call. I just sat there on my bed that night, lights off, and made a decision I probably should have made years ago. I got up, opened my laptop, and started disconnecting from everything. I was the one who built their side hustles. My dad's antique resale business? I made the eBay store, linked the PayPal, wrote every item description. My brother's weird crypto brand? I designed the logo, made the Twitter page, scheduled his posts. My uncle's lawn company? The website, the booking form, the Yelp reviews. They were all me. And I'd never charged a dime. That night, I revoked my access to every account I touched. Removed my email logins, changed all the passwords I had made for them, and deleted the shared documents I'd been updating weekly without thanks. It felt cleaner than I expected. Like clearing a to-do list that had been quietly suffocating me for years. At first, silence. Then almost exactly 36 hours later, the text started. My brother's came first. "Hey, can you check the domain thing? It's down." Then my dad, "I can't get into the store page. Something's wrong." Mom tried calling. I watched her name flash across my screen, then fade. That weekend, instead of meal prepping for them like I usually did, I sat down with a spreadsheet. I listed every dollar I had poured into them. It was nauseating. Thousands. And not 1 cent had gone toward my daughter's braces, her therapy, or the new clothes she actually needed. By Sunday night, I opened a new savings account, put in everything I could spare, and marked it as ours. Not family. Not shared. Ours. More missed calls. A few voicemails I didn't bother opening. I had nothing to say. Not anymore. The following week, I didn't check my phone as often. I didn't need to. The pattern was already predictable. A text in the morning. A missed call by noon. Silence at night. Then a voice message the next day, slightly more urgent, slightly less proud. My brother left the first real one. Said he had a quick favor. Tried to laugh like nothing was wrong, but I could hear the stall in his voice. The antique site was down and their PayPal was frozen. No more sales. No more deposits. I didn't respond. What struck me the most wasn't just how fast they started unraveling. It was how quickly they realized how much they had leaned on me, and how little they had actually appreciated it. I didn't go out of my way to rub it in. I didn't post anything, didn't send a dramatic message, didn't threaten or gloat. I just stopped being useful. That was enough. Then Mom finally texted something longer than a sentence. "Karen, if you're upset, we can talk about it. But we're family. And family helps each other." I stared at the screen for a long time before deleting the message without replying. Family. That word was always their shield. Their excuse. But it was never protection for me. It was just a leash. A few days later, my dad sent a group text, probably thinking he could patch things up the way he always did, with fake normalcy and a little guilt. "Need to talk soon." Want to make sure everyone's still good for the Thanksgiving weekend." No one else replied either. I think by then they knew I wasn't the one who needed to talk. They were. And I was done waiting. That Friday I took my daughter out for pizza and let her pick out new sneakers. For once I didn't stress about the price. I even bought myself a decent winter coat, something I hadn't done in years because there was always something someone else needed more. I didn't even feel guilty. Then out of nowhere my cousin Sarah called. She never calls. I let it go to voicemail. But when I finally listened to it, her voice was nervous. "Hey, weird question, but did you stop helping out with the family sites and stuff? I only asked because your mom called my dad asking if he knew how to fix something." Sounded kind of, I don't know, panicked. Panicked. That was new. By now the site was completely offline. The business email bounced back. Their customer messages went unanswered. Refunds were being requested. And nobody knew what to do without me. And I still said nothing. I was spending less, saving more, sleeping better. I hadn't argued with anyone in days. My daughter was noticing too. She asked why we weren't visiting Nana anymore. I told her we were just doing things a little differently this year. She didn't argue. She was too busy showing me her new shoes. By Sunday, Dad's tone had shifted entirely. "Can we just have a call? No pressure, just want to clear the air." I almost laughed. There was no air left to clear. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just free. By the second week of silence, the tone of their messages had shifted completely. Dad stopped pretending everything was normal. He started texting directly, short and blunt. "We're losing sales." Then, "You still have access to the Stripe account, right?" Then more desperate, "Karen, please, we need to talk." I didn't respond to any of it. Instead, I pulled up my own budget tracker, one I'd always kept in the background while there's got all my energy. I adjusted the numbers. No more monthly transfers to Mom's account. No more covering my brother's server fees. I cut every single one of their expenses from my life. And suddenly I had money. Not just a little. Hundreds every week that used to disappear like clockwork. I bought my daughter a weighted blanket she'd wanted for months. I got myself noise-canceling headphones. I finally upgraded the cracked screen on my laptop. Small things, but they didn't feel small at all. For the first time in forever, I wasn't living in fear of someone else's mess becoming mine. They still tried to reach me. Mom left a voicemail saying she didn't realize things had gotten so tense. She said she was just stressed when they made that Christmas comment. Said I was still part of the family, whatever that meant now. I didn't return the call. Instead, I started really thinking about the numbers. I had given Mom nearly $2,000 over the last 8 months. None of it documented. None of it ever returned. When she'd said she needed to cover medication, I wired the money without checking. When Dad needed a new phone, I financed it in my name because his credit was shot. When my brother crashed his car, I helped cover the deductible and watched him post bar selfies on Instagram 2 nights later. There was a moment that week when I got genuinely angry. Not loud angry. Just this deep, quiet fury. I found an old transaction from last winter. A $600 payment I'd made from my daughter's savings account to cover an emergency vet bill for my parents' dog. I'd forgotten all about it. That money had been meant for new glasses for my daughter. They never even asked how she was after. That was the moment something hardened in me. Not just boundaries. Bitterness. I didn't just want to ignore them. I wanted them to feel it. The absence. The loss. The sharp edge of all the ways I'd held them up while they took and took and took. And right on cue, Dad left one more message, probably not realizing he'd left his mic open a little too long at the end. "She'll come around. She always does." He laughed. That was the last laugh he got from me. The next call came from a number I didn't recognize. It wasn't one of theirs. It was a client of theirs. A woman named Erica. She ran a local vintage shop and used Dad's antique flipping business for inventory. Apparently, I'd spoken to her months ago when I helped him set up bulk invoicing. She remembered my name. She sounded tense. "I'm only calling because your dad won't answer," she said. "And I'm out over $1,000 in unfulfilled orders." I didn't say much. Just let her talk. She explained how the inventory hadn't shipped, that the site was broken, that emails were bouncing, and that she was about ready to go public with it. She apologized for putting me in an awkward spot, but she had my number. My name had been on the invoice footer. That was the first unexpected blow. I hadn't realized how tied my name still was to their mess. Quietly, without telling her much, I emailed her a copy of the message I'd sent Dad 3 months ago. Back when I warned him I was pulling out of everything unless he started compensating me properly. He never replied. But I kept the email. Just in case. That same night, my brother messaged me again. Not a text. An Instagram DM. "You're really just gonna ghost everyone? Even after everything we've done for you?" Made me laugh. I had to read it twice to believe the nerve. Done for me? I screenshotted the message. Saved it. Then blocked him. The next unexpected thing came that weekend. My mom showed up. Not a call. Not a text. She showed up at my door with a foil-wrapped container of lasagna, like this was some normal Sunday drop-in. I didn't open the door. Just stood behind it, quiet, until she gave up and walked back to the car. She never even knocked twice. My daughter watched from the window, asking why Nana was leaving food on the porch like we were sick. I didn't have a good answer. I just told her we were keeping things simple for now. That night, I opened a private doc on my computer. I titled it Debt I Never Owed and started listing everything I had done for them since 2017. Every payment, every hour, every ride, every call. I wasn't planning to show it to anyone. But seeing it there gave me something I hadn't had in years. Proof. Proof that I hadn't imagined it. That I wasn't just being emotional or dramatic. That I had been used and used and used. And then, as if fate wanted to remind me what they really thought of me, I got an email. From a local small business group. Apparently, my brother had applied for a grant. Under a group project he labeled Family-Run Tech Consulting. And used my name, my LinkedIn profile, and a sample portfolio I'd made for his company 3 years ago. He was going to collect the grant. Without telling me. That's when I started getting angry again. Not hurt. Not confused. Pure, surgical anger. And this time I wasn't just pulling away. I was cutting the whole cord. I reported the grant fraud. Not anonymously either. I included everything. Screenshots. Dates. Links to the original files I'd designed that he had rebranded without permission. I attached a statement confirming I had not been involved in the application and had never given consent for my name or work to be used. The program director emailed back within hours. He thanked me for the transparency. Said she'd be reaching out to him directly. 2 days later, my brother's name vanished from the grant announcement page. I didn't hear a word from him after that. But I did get a call. From my grandmother. That was unexpected. She's not the type to insert herself. She's quiet, traditional, usually just knits and keeps the peace. But that night she called and I could tell from the first word she already knew everything. Not just what they had done recently. Everything. She had heard about the lasagna on the porch. About the site going down. About the grant. Even about the voicemail from Erica, which apparently got forwarded to my uncle, who then told her. And for the first time in my life, my grandmother didn't ask me to forgive anyone. She didn't ask me to calm down. She said one sentence that I hadn't realized I'd been dying to hear. "You were right to stop." I sat there staring at my laptop screen, not knowing what to say. I didn't cry. I didn't explain myself. I just let the silence sit for a second. It was the first real peace I'd felt in weeks. That same night, the family group chat finally woke up again. This time it wasn't guilt. Or fake casual. It was apologetic. Dad said he regretted how things went. Said they were trying to figure out how to make it right. Mom asked if I'd be open to a family meeting. Even my brother sent a text. No blame, no sarcasm. Just, "If you're open to talking, I'd like to fix this." I read it all. But I didn't reply. Because something in me had shifted. They were finally becoming softer. And I was becoming colder. I didn't want to hear excuses. I didn't want a public apology. I didn't even want the money back anymore. I wanted distance. The kind that couldn't be bridged with lasagna or text messages. I told my daughter we'd be staying home for Christmas. Just the two of us. I bought us matching pajamas, ordered everything early, and made a list of recipes to try together. She was excited. She didn't ask why we weren't going to Nana's this year. She just asked if we could make peppermint brownies. And that was enough. It wasn't revenge anymore. It was protection. From people who only noticed what I did for them after I stopped doing it. Christmas morning was quiet. No group chat. No last-minute calls. Just me and my daughter in matching pajamas opening gifts on our own schedule. I had cinnamon rolls baking and the house actually felt like ours. Then around noon the doorbell rang. It was my mom. She held a small box and didn't say much, just handed it over and stepped back. Inside was an old photo. Me years ago at one of Dad's flea market stalls, clipboard in hand, sunburnt and exhausted. Tucked behind it was a handwritten letter. From my grandmother. She said she was proud of me. That boundaries don't ruin families. Silence and selfishness do. She wrote that she told everyone she wasn't going to Christmas dinner unless I was invited. So they canceled it. No dinner. No gathering. Just leftovers. 3 days later I agreed to meet them. Just coffee. Public place. Dad apologized. Said he didn't realize how much I held together. Mom admitted she leaned too hard on me. No excuses. No begging. Just quieter people than I remembered. They didn't ask me to come back. They asked what could be different if I ever did. I didn't give an answer. I just said thank you and left. We're not close again. But we're not at war. And that, finally, is enough.